all things pop culture and the disruptors behind it, talking comics, movies, TV, and pop culture with the Rogues who create it every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on Facebook.com/Rogue Wave Podcast. That's wave without an E. Download our podcast, immediately follow the live stream on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, anywhere major podcasts can be downloaded. You can find us, search Rogue Wave Podcast, or go to roguewavepodcast.com. We are part of the Rogue Matter Network, a new digital comic company, content company, providing programming and entertainment that shatters boundaries. We look for stories and creators you can't find anywhere else, like Rogue Wave. Official launch is coming in October, but for now, our listeners can get in the ground floor. Go to roguematter.com, enter your email for exclusive access to our beta site before anyone else gets to see it and gets to consume all the cool stuff we have on there. Join the movement. Go Rogue, roguematter.com. I am your host, Mike Dolce, joined, as always, by my cohort in crime, Mr. Hassan Godwin. How you doing, sir?
It's another Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday. Is
it
Wednesday? I have no idea the passage of time anymore.
It is.
I know nothing.
It got cool.
And we're still in August, right?
Yes.
All right. Okay.
We're back into actual August weather. And on that note, the heat is on because this past weekend was probably the best form of, I don't want to say content because there's movies and TV shows, but in terms of announcement porn that you can have that generally gets saved for like comic conventions, it was probably the best. Let's dive right in. We're going to do our Rogue Rage, all the rage in the pop culture world. Tonight we are just this is DC Fandome. There is nothing else. We're also going to welcome Todd Black, creator of Tokyo Blade Detective. He's got a Kickstarter for issue 3 out right now. He's gonna chime in on DC Fandome. This is just the all DC Fandome announcement machine, and that was this past weekend. And I thought it was really, really great. The setup that they had, the delivery method, Comic-Con, which again, given the circumstances, they didn't know if they could actually hold a Comic-Con and had to scramble to put together the virtual Comic-Con that they put together, right? New York Comic-Con has kind of had some lead time now, and they put together their metaverse, and they're doing virtual panels and things. But in terms of sheer impact, DC Fandome, kind of nailed it, right? I mean, they had, tons of trailers, which we'll get into in our second segment where we do our trailer to the trash. We knew Zack Snyder's, cut was going to be kind of like one of the big things, but Suicide Squad stuff, Batman was kind of a nice surprise. DC bringing back the Milestone edition, so some comic book news. I mean, you really had I was really impressed with everything. Hassan, what was your take on DC?
It's being considered a big success, which is rare, especially on the interwebs. Having consensus on the interwebs that it wasn't a waste of everybody's time. There was a lot of revelations. There was a lot of trailers that came out of it. There was a lot of eventful material that came out of that gave everybody something to talk about for the first time in like 3 or 4 months, which is great because people were scraping the bottom of the barrel trying to figure out exactly what they wanted to talk about content-wise, movies and whatever. Most of the stories being that something such and such has been canceled or pushed back or, it's going to be streamed and how this is going to change the industry as we know it and all that other stuff. So to actually get tangible material to fawn over was kind of a big deal for everybody. Yeah,
I can't imagine anybody, although I'm sure there are people out there that would sit there and poo-poo this thing. But
well, there's people.
But without any actual legitimacy behind what they're doing. They're just sad people, and life would be better if they were happier.
Yes, poo-pooers are sad. Well, if you poo-pooed all day, you'd be sad.
You'd be empty. All right, let's dive in.
That's why they're sad, probably.
Our Rogue Rage, all the rage in the pop culture world. Zack Snyder reveals his Justice League cut will be released in 4 parts. Zack Snyder has revealed how his Justice League will be released on HBO Max when it was first announced that it was coming to HBO Max. What's that? Oh.
Hallelujah.
Oh, you're just singing. Oh, I see what you're doing there. It was revealed the film could arrive as a miniseries instead of a film. During the Fandome panel, it will be released as hour-long episodes in 4 parts on HBO Max. However, Zack Snyder shared there will also be a way to watch all 4 parts as a feature-length film as well on HBO Max. He mentioned
black and white. I think
that will be worldwide distribution of his version is still being worked at. Is it black and white? I didn't see that part.
From what I heard, from actually what I heard an interview with him, and then he said that it would all be consolidated in black and white if you wanted to see it there, so that they'll deter you from jumping right to the full thing because you'll want to watch it in the in 4 grand colors and blah blah blah. So, yeah, look, this is a big deal. Whether you like it or not, I've seen a lot of complaints about it. I don't understand people. I really don't. I understand I get not liking it. It's kind of the same. It's kind of the same attitude. I just had this conversation with someone else. It's kind of the same attitude that they had in the 2000s. Yeah, I talked to a lot of other people. Well, mostly they're in my head, but I mean, I did speak to them. It was a full-fledged conversation. It's kind of the same thing as the 2005 King Kong, right? A lot of people are like, it's too long, it's too much CGI, too much. There's a lot of complaints about it, right? Yeah. But I'm like, there's a 16-foot gorilla in the movie, and he drop kicks a Tyrannosaurus Rex. If you're a kid, if you're a little boy, the girls, I get it. They're more sophisticated. They don't understand the visceral pleasure of watching a giant creature kick another creature in the head, right? But where's the little boy in you that you don't enjoy a 16-foot gorilla fighting 3 Tyrannosaurus Rexes at the same time? Now, that
just got canceled, by the way. Little girls everywhere. Very pissed at you.
Yeah, no, I just said that they're all
smarter.
They're
like, of course we can understand that.
If they cancel me for saying that they're all smarter, then...
Don't put me in a box, Hassan. That's what they're saying.
Okay, anyway. So the same with Justice League. You got content, you got something huge to talk about. The industry is falling apart with nothing to talk about. Mm-hmm. You can see exactly what a waste... Now I'm going to get canceled. You can see exactly what a waste our industry is when the material dries up. Yeah. Because everybody just starts sniping at each other about what they're... And then, the sad thing is there was a sense of unity because we're all kind of in this together and we're all kind of hoping that the industry pulls itself together. Yeah. And as soon as we get new content for people to look at, the haters come out in droves talking about, like, Snyder says, it's Hallelujah again. It's that Snyder only has one song. The movie looks exactly the same. It's going to be crap or whatever. All right, so don't watch it. You stay in the dark with the rest of the people waiting for the industry to bounce back. Meanwhile, the people who kind of understand the brass tacks of the industry that we're working in, they're going to momenticize this thing regardless of how they feel about it. Now, they're not going to lie and say it's good when it's not good, if it's not good, right? Yeah. But they're going to momenticize the entire occasion because this was our chosen industry, and we are out of material, right? It's a paper mill that's run out of trees.
Yeah, breaking it up into 4 one-hour episodes makes it more palatable. It makes it something that we had streaming back in 2017, but it's not the way it is now. It presents it in a format that people actually kind of understand.
It's an event. They're talking about doing this with everything. Everything. Yeah. They're talking about doing new reboots. Now, I could deal with a reboot of even my favorite movies. I could deal with a reboot if they were going to reboot into television shows, into 8 to 10 hour television shows, right? Because that's a whole nother format. So that will force them to look at the material in a whole different way and look at it more exploitatively and which is not a word, and look at it more in depth and deeply. Right?
I wouldn't have known.
So
I wouldn't have known if it was.
Yeah, but someone else will know, and they'll be like, "This guy doesn't know what he's talking about because that's not a word."
Like,
so
didn't they cancel this guy?
I preemptively, I already got canceled, so I'm all right now. I am the man in the dark. I am already dead, so now I fear no death.
There you go.
So the idea of taking a movie that bombed, it's retooled, taking all the reshoots out.
Well, yeah, it also will cost less.
Taking a really bad Henry Cavill mustache face out of the entire thing.
Yep.
Right? And then turning it into a streaming format, into like they did with the Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
Turning it into a series, which is another thing. I guarantee you the industry is working on this. The industry is working on turning everything into palatable streaming content that will keep people coming back week after week in order to, So this is an experiment about a lot of things. Our industry is going to change because of this, regardless of whether this is good or bad. Yeah. And anybody who's sniping it because of a trailer is completely missing the boat on the whole thing.
Yeah. You know what? I'll say this again. The announcement that it's 4 hours is 4 separate episodes is smart on their part. It is also smart to then put it together. This is, while it is costing them more money to do all this stuff, it is essentially, you are getting a tent pole that already has enough social clout behind it to warrant that people are going to see it. Either they're going to hate watch it or they're going to love watch it. So people are going to watch it. You're going to get the traffic, and it brings it together in a way. So, I mean, you'd have to spend $400 million, $500 million on a new movie to accomplish the same thing this movie is going to accomplish for maybe 20 million, 30 million, 40 million. And I mean, this is the thing too. I mean, this is something that, again, you never would see 20 years ago, but now we've seen it, countless times when they resurrect old TV shows. Nothing is ever dead. You sat there and go, oh man, we're never going to see Batman. We're never see Ben Affleck as Batman again. And now it's like, no, not only are you going to see him in this movie now in a different way, but then he's going to come back again where you already kind of, had this, you kind of passed on this already. You kind of like, alrighty, well, the Christian Bale era is over. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe the Michael Keaton era is over. Nope, it's not. There is really this immortality to content now.
Well, everybody's going multiverse, which means everything is full of possibilities. And I think the funny thing is, even though the multiverse has been around in comic books for years and years in both major industries, the multiverse really was brought to prominence by Star Trek.
Right.
Because they were totally afraid of ruining the continuity. Right. So they just said, this is an alternate reality track. And then everyone's like, wow, that's a great idea. That was the big
reveal too, and we'll get into it a little bit, I think, but we can get into it right now. I mean, it's a smart reveal for DC to do this, to have a multiverse, because it answers the question that, even though it was the obvious answer, it's not as if, we, who are staples of this industry wouldn't have sat back and go, well, they can just do it as multiverse and life will go on. But at least it establishes that as the canon. It establishes that as the definitive answer to, well, how does Michael Keaton's Batman exist in the same world as, Bruce Wayne in Gotham, who, exists in the same, universe, but doesn't exist in the same universe as Arrowverse. You have a Ben Affleck Batman. You have a Robert Pattinson Batman. You have a Christian Bale Batman. It opens the door to freeing up the creators to just freely create. You have the Matt Reeves now can do whatever he wants in his own little pocket universe. And it's not going to impact.
I do have a question, though. Is the Matt Reeves Batman, is that supposed to be young Ben Affleck?
No.
So it's a completely different...
That is a completely different Batman. That is a completely different Bruce Wayne, grew up under different circumstances. I mean, now you also have Joaquin Phoenix's Joker exists in a pocket universe now. I mean, there's anything goes when it comes to creators. Now, piecing it all together, I mean, you have stuff like The Crisis on an Infinite Earths on TV that kind of brought all the TV versions of these DC characters together. Right. You have Flash coming out that's going to bring together a lot of the movie versions. So,
that actually broke my Arrowverse franchise following because it was just it was such an extended event, and I couldn't keep up with it. So then I couldn't go back to the shows after it was over because I had no idea where everybody was, and so I just stopped watching all of them. But I'll get back to it. There's time.
Yeah. Well, speaking of a multiverse and speaking of Matt Reeves' Batman, it's a good segue. Matt Reeves, the Batman HBO Max series set in year 1. So Matt Reeves will have a new HBO Max series. So basically, again, like we said, he has his own little pocket universe. Just before he dropped the incredible first trailer for The Batman, director Matt Reeves confirmed that his prequel Max series will take place in the first year of Bruce Wayne emerging as a vigilante in Gotham City. The series was announced back in July and will examine police corruption and how organized crime has infected the department. The prequel series is reportedly being referred to as Gotham Central. Gotham? It's set in a different universe. So it's Gotham, but for HBO Max.
Well, conceptually, how is it different from Gotham? It's not conceptually different.
The news came shortly
All
after
right.
official stills debuted showing Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne will look like in the new take on the Caped Crusader. During the Fandome panel, he explained the story and Batman prequel will be told from one particular corrupt officer and will go back to Batman Year One. It's not clear whether this means the Dark Knight will make an appearance in the series or if he'll be referred to throughout, but clearly the world will be explored even further. It's not different than Gotham, except it is now tied into a major movie. That's the difference, right? You can now see a theatrical Batman and kind of explore this universe. And again, the multiverse, it doesn't give us anything different necessarily in terms of like what's this versus what Gotham was, but it explains it explains how it all coexists and how it kind of works together. So,
All
you
right.
know, if you're a fan of Gotham and you're sad that it's gone, you get to watch Gotham Central. If you're a fan of the Robert Pattinson Batman, you get to explore the universe further. Maybe he'll debut, so maybe he'll cameo in something, you know, somewhere down the line. I mean, you know, it opens the door for possibilities, but it also doesn't hamstring. You know, this is DC realizing not to copy. You know, they didn't have to copy Marvel. Marvel does it in a way that's very specific, and that was the big fault with Batman v Superman, which was DC's attempt to Marvelize their DC universe. You know, they tried to cram
the
8 movies
mistake
into
with,
one movie.
The mistake with Justice League, you mean?
No, we're talking Batman v Superman. Batman v Superman was their attempt to expedite,
To turn it into Avengers, to jump into Avengers,
right? And rather than giving it a Zack Snyder Batman movie, I actually would kind of look forward to that. But instead of doing that and giving it, you know, then he had one Superman. Basically, we had one Superman movie, and then they're like, let's move ahead to Civil War, which we're like, okay, well, we haven't even really explored the rest of the universe yet. And then we're going to put Suicide Squad, and that's going to exist in this universe too. And then we're going to give you Avengers. And, you know, by
you know, you can almost understand that because the shelf life of trends is so narrow, right? They had no way of knowing that the comic book industry, or the comic book movie trend was going to last over a decade. And it's still going technically because because it's been halted, it's been paused, so we don't actually know how much further after 2020 all of this stuff is going to go. So they've actually had the opportunity to kind of reboot, take advantage of the time and reboot and reestablish themselves. But I can understand why they try to rush to get to the gold mine. You know, before all the gold had run out. The problem is they just were not geniuses at rushing. No. Unlike Marvel, who were like, "Oh, you're going to do Batman versus Superman? How about Civil War?" You know, and they were able to rush that and actually put together a decent movie.
Well, they didn't have to rush. I mean, everything was laid in, like, the foundation.
No, but I mean, but from what I know, Kevin Feige did not plan for the third Avengers movie to be Civil War. No, excuse me, the third Captain America movie to be Civil War. It was going to be something different, and they did Civil War to counter Batman versus Superman, and Marvel was able to jump into it and actually put together a good product, and also work out deals where they could have surprise reveals like Spider-Man joining, because like nobody remembers now that Spider-Man was not part of the MCU until Civil War. Okay, so now suddenly Spider-Man's everywhere. He's all over Infinity War and Endgame. He's had 2 movies of his own already because that's how fast Marvel moves. But he was nowhere to be found. You know, up until some of the major movies, like the first Avengers, Winter Soldier, which is kind of the benchmark to everybody. The 3 Iron Man movies, no Spider-Man. And then suddenly Spider-Man's there, and now he slid in there so nicely that people kind of forget that he's pretty much the last new character that they've revealed. You know? So
until the Eternals eventually come out.
But I mean,
no, you're 100% right. But again, they had equity built in with the audience. They've also had foundational storylines. So it wasn't as if they were like, let's make something up out of thin air, which is essentially what Zack Snyder did with Batman v Superman, to try to introduce Batman and then introduce Doomsday and introduce Lex Luthor and introduce Wonder Woman, like all in one movie. I mean, like saying that was insane. They were basically
the same mistakes that all comic book movies all the previous comic book movies had. They just front load it with, it's a kitchen sink movie, and nobody
but Marvel
nobody
didn't
knows
have-
where they are. There's no center of gravity.
But Marvel didn't have to worry about that because they had Winter Soldier already introduced. So it wasn't as if they had to introduce him and then introduce this conflict. They had Tony Stark in Age of Ultron.
The only thing they did was introduce Black Panther and Spider-Man.
Correct.
Those are the only two characters that got introduced
but
in
the
Civil War.
universe was already established too. So it's
right,
like,
but I'm
it's
saying
almost,
with even with all the characters that Marvel had,
Yep.
the only two new characters
Yep.
you had to follow was Black Panther and Spider-Man. And up until like maybe a month before the movie dropped, you didn't even know Spider-Man was in it.
Yeah.
You thought it was just going to be, oh, look, there's T'Challa,
Yep.
you know? So, yeah, their formula is a unique formula. It is very difficult to copy because they work from the ground up.
Yep.
And it's unwise to try to copy it. It really is. It isn't smart to try to copy it.
I agree. All right, final reveal. I mean, there's a bunch of other stuff. DC's bringing back the Milestone comics. I don't really know what to say about it because I never really read them back in the day. I think I checked out maybe one issue way back in the day. But I mean, the bigger news is the Suicide Squad was the other big three, right? There was essentially, you had Wonder Woman, the new trailer coming out, which we'll review in our trailer to the trash segment.
To be honest with you, the Suicide Squad maybe with a video game, right?
Talk to me real quick about Milestone because we're not going to spin the racks like we normally do. Is there a particular title that people should look out for?
Well, Static was basically turned into a major comic book title.
Oh, I do
turned
remember
into
him,
a cartoon.
Actually. Okay.
And then actually turned into a DC title as Icon. That they're gonna. I bet you they're gonna push Icon really hard.
Yeah. Okay.
You know? And then Hardware. Those are the main three of the. That's a Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman of the Milestone universe. So
that's pretty.
I'd look for big stuff from those three books.
Yeah.
And they're big. They're big diversity push and all that other stuff that's gonna happen. And I'm kind of happy about that, just because I liked Milestone when it started. I followed it when it first started.
Dennis Cohen was one of the artists, and I loved his work. His work is always synonymous with it's just really great. It's like the scrappy, dark, Sienkiewicz inspired kind of line work that he does.
Yeah, man. And so and we need more of that stuff. So we'll see. Hopefully that'll be good stuff. I mean, everything in DC is so shifted, so we don't know exactly how that's gonna be attacked. That's how it's going to be attacked and how
you're going to be able to
land.
Stream it on HBO Max, the comic.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And then you got the Suicide Squad video game, but that's not going to come out until 2022. So they dropped that trailer.
Yeah.
It's cool.
But that was the big three, right? You had the big three trailers: Snyder Cut, Wonder Woman, and the Batman, which we'll get to next segment. And then you had Suicide Squad, a featurette, and a roll call. It was cool to see. It was cool to see Harley Quinn kind of looking more and more like Harley Quinn. Like she's kind of like slowly kind of getting, not necessarily the animated series look, but the color scheme is there. And I think she's reminiscent of a specific run in the comics at some point as well.
It's inevitable that the character would be bombshelled, because just that is not the origins of the character, by any stretch of the imagination. But it is what it is. I've made my peace with it. I wasn't very happy with it. I like Margot Robbie a lot, but I wasn't into really her Harley Quinn too much. Even that movie even the Birds of Prey was like, all right, this is good, but it's not the Harley Quinn that the one that got really famous was from the animated series. That kind of sparked a lot of imagination.
I mean, from the roll call, it looks as if it's more in line. It's getting closer. It's getting closer.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm not down on it. But I mean,
also Idris Elba as Bloodsport in this, plus 87 other characters apparently. That's not an arbitrary number. I mean, that roll call was like, we're gonna have this.
It's gonna be the DC universe. It's gonna be the equivalent of what the Avengers game. They're trying to compete with that. So we'll see.
I know the answer to this, but I'm gonna verify it on the podcast with you. James Gunn did not direct Suicide Squad, correct?
Not the first one. No.
Not the first one. Who was the director on that?
I do not know. Oh,
yeah.
Man. What kind of? You got the internet. What kind of nonsense is that?
So I got the what?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You don't know what I'm talking about.
No. I mean, James Gunn at least has a good track record of delivering in a multi-cast movie, you know, like an ensemble cast movie. So I'm definitely curious. I think it'll be kind of cool to see. So we'll, you know, overall, again, you know, gas meter real quick. How full are you on?
Oh, man,
how full or empty are you on DC Fandome? All the announcements. Are you half a tank? You can't be half.
No, I'm 3/4 of the tank.
Ooh,
you know.
All right.
Look, I'm like I said before. I'm happy to get news about David Ayer, director.
Oh, that's right.
I'm happy to get news.
The Ayer cut.
Yeah. I'm happy to get news of new content. I'm happy Zack Snyder's making movies again, and he's getting past the tragedy in his life.
Yeah, well, that's true. I can give you that.
I'm happy for him.
You're a much nicer person than I am. I'm like, yeah, I know. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm much nicer than most people. I don't get that rep though, you know. But
you are pretty vicious. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you've got that Hassan alter ego that just, you know.
I'm just quiet. And that's why
they're the ones you got to look out for. I mean, obviously.
Most people put that synonymous with wickedness, but that's not my
clearly.
fault.
I mean,
yeah,
you know.
Of course. And then there's other reasons, but we won't.
Quiet equals menacing.
Fine, I'll take menacing. If it makes people leave me alone, I'll take menacing. And so yeah, I'm kind of happy about all this stuff. I'm not 100% on all of it.
I'm 100%. I'm full on all this, and we'll get into why next segment. It's our DC Fandome trailer showdown. Wonder Woman 84 versus the Batman versus JL Snyder cut. I'm going to tell you which trailer. How's this for a lead? That I am super down on. It's not the one
that you don't like. You're saying
it's not the one you think it is. When we come back.
Welcome to Button Stash, the show about the best mustaches in gaming.
Casey, it's Button Smash. It's the new gaming podcast from the Rogue Matter Network. I don't know where you got mustaches from.
Well, I'm not shaving. But we will talk about gaming news, reviews, inside scoops, and retrospectives.
Join us live on twitch.tv/WeAreRogueMatter on Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, or download our episodes wherever you listen to your podcast.
But please, Casey, shave.
Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast, talking comics, movies, TV, and pop culture. Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on Facebook.com/Rogue Wave Podcast. Go to RogueWavePodcast.com to subscribe. You saw a commercial. You're listening to a commercial. If you're listening to us via podcast, or if you're watching us on YouTube, go to YouTube.com/Rogue Matter. We're on that channel as well, too, which is pretty awesome. If you were watching us, you saw a commercial. If you were listening to us, you heard a commercial for our newest podcast, Button Smash. It is the Rogue Matter official gaming podcast, formerly Bad Coyote Funky. They stream live every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/WeAreRogueMatter. The replay streams on all the Facebook channels on Saturday night, and you can also check that out on YouTube, uploaded every Saturday night as well. Great bunch of guys. They know their stuff when it comes to video games. I know nothing past Super Nintendo and maybe playing Final Fantasy VII on PlayStation. That's the extent of my video game knowledge. We were talking DC Fandome, and again, the big three trailers. We're not counting Suicide Squad. That was not a trailer. That was a roll call. It just basically kind of showed everyone in costume. There's a featurette that went along with it. That's DVD extra material. That is not a trailer for our trailer Truth or Trash. Wonder Woman 84, the Batman, and the Snyder cut. The biggest surprise out of all this was obviously the Batman, right? We didn't know to expect something like that. I mean, there were rumblings that there'd be some sort of trailer, but it actually kind of, I feel like it was in terms of a teaser, in terms of a trailer, it was pretty revealing. Like, it gave us a good foundation for what we're to expect, right? We know what Robert Pattinson's emo Batman looks like underneath the mask. We know
Still
that
like
he's
the
taking
suit.
on, what's that?
They haven't gotten the suit right since Michael Keaton.
No, they haven't. We'll get into that in a second. We know that the Riddler is the main villain, or at least possibly the main villain, Not possibly.
Yeah,
I mean, he's basically the
seemingly.
main villain.
He should be. He better be, because if they try to double up on villains again, they're making that classic mistake.
I read an article though that there was reference to the Court of Owls in that trailer as well too. So
okay. But then that could be a foreshadow for 10 movies down the line or something like that.
Yeah, or it could be a backdrop too. I mean, the Court of Owls is kind of the elite society, or it could be a lead up for their prequel series. You know, I mean, in terms of
that's what I'm saying. It could be for something way down the line.
Or instead of the Red Hood, and the Court of Owls, it might be the Riddler and Court of Owls, or it might be the Red Hood might be in there. I mean,
we established that. Could be for future stuff. Keep moving.
No, I'm just saying it could be in that movie. No, I'm saying in this movie it could be in. Who knows? But anyway, laid the foundation. I agree with you on the costume in terms of that, but anyway, let's do a little round robin. Wonder Woman 84. The big thing for that was we get to see Cheetah. We get to see Kristen Wiig as the Cheetah for the very first time.
Right.
Plus, it just reminds we got to see Donald Trump. I mean, Pedro Pascal. As his Trump, Trumpian figure in this, which gave us a little more insight into that. And finally, we got to see the Snyder cut, which again we kind of expected, right? The one trailer we were not expecting maybe was the Batman. The other two we were definitely expecting, and as you alluded to in the first segment, the Hallelujah. All right. Instead of asking you which one you are high on, I'm going to tell you which one I'm down on, and it's the Batman. And I know people are going nuts on this because they're like, "Wow, it's the Bat. This is great." Blah blah blah. I felt like watching it. Not that it wasn't great. It was cool. Yeah, and he's beating the crap out of the guy at the end and whatnot. I feel like this was just Nolan's Batman resurrected again. Like we're just seeing the same thing. There's nothing exceptionally new about this. It's basically like, to me, it's Nolan Part 4. I know it's not. I know it's not set in the same universe. It's not the Christian Bale Batman. It's not the same thing that was done, but it was essentially Nolan's Batman was, what if Batman was real? What if he was, grim and gritty? We get to see kind of this aspect to it. At least Zack Snyder's Batman, you got to see something different. You got to see the Dark Knight Returns Batman, the aging Batman. Here I feel like we're just in Batman Begins all over again. So while it was cool visually and whatnot, I didn't walk away from that feeling I just felt like kind of been there, kind of done that. What's your take?
Yeah. I see what your point is. I just don't. I don't know how else anybody's going to do a Batman movie. Because like if you turn it into Adam West Batman, it's going to be a joke, right? You had a chance to do the Affleck Batman, which I would have been really excited about.
I really would have liked to seen that.
Yeah, but that's falling apart, because that was kind of a high theatrical concept Batman with crazy, mechanized Batmobile and Ben Affleck super jacked and it would have just been super crazy. It would have been more Frank Miller-esque, like hyper reality than anything else that we've ever seen. So I think if you're going to step back away from that, you have to have it have some kind of DNA with the Nolan movies, because those were the super successul ones.
Yeah,
you can't you have to be very careful because you could stray into Schumacher territory really easily. Trying to be.
Look, I don't know the answer to this.
Full of flair.
I don't know the answer, right? I don't know what the answer is to your question, which is how do you do another Batman?
It's not my question; it was your question.
But no, I didn't. Well, no, but you brought it up. Like, I don't know how else.
I'm saying. But
look at Spider-Man, right? Look at Spider-Man. Look at what they did with Spider-Man. Because I actually came into Spider-Man feeling the exact same thing, also. But the product they put on screen felt different. Like it felt like, oh, well, this is a Spider-Man.
Did you feel that way from the trailer, or did you feel that way when you sat down and watched the film?
Well, I think
that's where your problem is. You're judging it before
also,
you actually get a chance to see it.
Of course. But this, all we have is a trailer to kind of comment on. But Spider-Man also got to be introduced in Civil War, right? And so almost the trailer, Civil War kind of got the pressure off Spider-Man to begin with. So now you at least knew Tom Holland Spider-Man. You knew, some of the elements that you were going to see. But again, they did it in a way, they showed a different Peter Parker that we'd seen before. And that to me kind of got me a little excited. I do agree with you. I understand what you're saying. Does the trailer excite you or not? Because I do remember thinking the Homecoming trailer wasn't anything special until we actually sat down and saw the movie. And I was okay, this is a different take. So you're right. But that's the whole idea. So
you're not going to see. I mean, you're not going to see anything new in Batman until you see the Batman movie.
I guess. Well, then that's my question.
If the Batman movie has anything new to offer, you will know from the movie. The visuals are all going to look like Batman. We've got basically a visual language of Batman that they've been using for the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing that trailer had to do was reassure you that yes, this is going to look like a Batman movie, and that yes, Robert Pattinson could be
Patin, not Pater. Try not to get you canceled, bro. Those Twilight fans, man, they'll come at you.
I'm done, dude.
They are tough.
So tired of your shit ass jokes. I swear to God.
They weren't jokes. Just corrections on air.
I don't know, man. You asked me a question.
Trailer,
you never let me finish this statement. I'm done.
Trailer, truth or trash on the Batman are what we're seeing going to be. Is your impression of the trailer going to be the finished truth of the movie, or is it going to?
What is my impression of the trailer? You don't even know what my impression was.
What
about you? What is your?
I think it's going to be the truth. I think I'm going to sit down and watch the movie and kind of go, all right. I think it's an absolute truth. I think the trailer is the truth of what the movie's going to be.
Well, no, that's not a question. No, that's not the answer to your question. You said, is it going to be exactly as what you see as a trailer, right? That's not whether or not you think it's going to be good or bad.
The impression that I get from the trailer, is it going to be the truth of the movie? And I think it is. I think what I'm feeling watching this trailer is what I'm going to feel when I watch the movie.
Okay.
Which has been there, done that. You said you agreed that you could see it from my point of view. Been there, done that. Now you're also saying you didn't like the costume because they never get the. I agree with you. I think the best.
Ben Affleck's costume was good.
Best costume, right? Easily.
No, wasn't the best costume, but it was good. It was good. Keaton's was my favorite. I don't know if it was the best. I don't know if it was the best costume, but it was my favorite.
You won't even dignify the Clooney nipples with a response, will you?
Because I
see your game.
I really am sick of your shit jokes.
Bing. It's twice. I'm gonna have to put this.
I don't care. I'll keep doing it.
Now an explicit podcast.
I'll keep doing it.
One S. I can get away with it on by saying no.
You're just wasting time. So yeah. No. So I mean, look, Paddington Bear, whatever you want to call him.
That's accurate. I like that one. I'll go with that.
Yeah. Whatever. He looks okay. It's just. I'll get used to it.
Okay.
Although that's a lie because I really never got used to Kristen Bale's Batman. I never got used to it.
Yeah, that wasn't very good.
I disliked it.
That wasn't very good.
There was a symmetry. The thing that screwed all of them up was that the Michael Keaton Batman, the Burton Batman, his entire suit was like a symmetrical kind of thing. It was balanced out. Now, the poor dude couldn't turn his head from left to right, but as an intimidating figure, he cast a really solid silhouette. Yeah. Which is basically, as you know, as an artist, what we come to find is that the thing that kind of sells what people might determine visually as sexiness is a sharp silhouette. It's a very strange it's a strange phenomenon of visuals, but a sharp silhouette, anything that's a slightly awkward silhouette is not going to be highly regarded. It's really weird. So even though it was not functional, it was not a functional suit. The Michael Keaton Batman suit was almost a perfect silhouette. Yeah. Even George Clooney's was, but that it was starting to get into funky territory at that point. So whatever. The Nolan Batman did not cast a good silhouette. It looked top heavy. The head looked like it was way heavier than the rest of the suit. He didn't cast a sharp image even when he was standing still. There were many aspects in in those 3 movies where it was almost like they were trying to deconstruct the mythical Batman aspect of that they had established in the comic books for a long time. So the Affleck Batman went back to the almost perfect symmetrical silhouette.
Yeah.
And he looked fantastic.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I agree with you.
So
I agree with you.
Paddington Bear does not have a good silhouette. So, but I mean, you could get used to it. We'll find out. We'll find out if the movie's good, the story's good, his acting's good, which I've seen him in other movies. He's a great actor.
Oh yeah. I'm
we'll
sure
I'm
sure he's going to be great. I mean, I'm looking forward to him in Tenet when I eventually see that film as well too. I mean, he's got his acting creds. There's no question about it. And again, maybe it will be a Heath Ledger-like performance to which I'll sit there and go, wow, the performance was what sets this apart.
Look, I mean, we're in good shape as it is because the feedback on it is mostly positive, and that almost never happens, you know? So now it's theirs to lose.
Good segue.
And people are starving for something new. So, you know, I think they got a good shot. Who knows whether they'll pull it off, but they got a good shot.
Good segue.
Of course.
Which of the 3 trailers, there's Wonder Woman 84, there's Batman, there's the Snyder Cut, that are you the most high on? Like the one that's like that's got you going right now?
Probably the Snyder Cut.
Ooh, I did not expect that. How so?
Because it looks like it's going to be a completely different movie. I am going to drink the tears of the Snyder haters. You know, it's going to be wonderful. I don't know if I'm going to love it. But I'm more interested to see how different it is from
Isn't that kind of the thing?
Theatrical version than I am to see anything else. I do believe that Wonder Woman's going to be good. You know, I have no issues with that. I'm not excited about it. But if you're asking me which one intrigued me the most,
that is what I'm
if you're asking me which one intrigued me the most, it is definitely the Snyder Cut because I do want to see how they pull this off. I'm very interested in the delivery system.
Yeah.
Oh, in the aggrandizing of a movie and turning it into a TV series and making it into a full-on streaming experience because I think that's where the industry is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I am really interested to see how they pull that off. You're saying that you're excited about Wonder Woman?
The Wonder Woman trailer actually got me. I enjoyed the trailers that came before, but I wasn't as excited. But then, for some reason, you know, seeing Kristen Wiig as Cheetah, I know people are like, "Oh, it's a Cats knockoff, or it's worse than Cats, and this and that." And
whatever.
I didn't think so. I don't, and quite frankly, I don't think it's going to be. It's not that, you know. Look, if you can tell me you are a Wonder Woman super fan, and it's like I'm finally getting my Cheetah, you know, or this is not my Cheetah. I would say the majority of us are not that. Entrenched in the Wonder Woman lore.
We didn't see enough of her for anybody to not like it. You know, right. It was those
freeze frames where they're like, look at it, it's terrible, it's all grainy and blah blah blah, and it's like
supposedly it's grainy because it's a freeze frame of a moving trailer. You know, it's not like we got a production still and we were like, oof, that's not. I mean, they did the same thing with Captain Marvel when she was in the green Kree suit, right?
Right.
Everyone was like, "Oh, that's got to be a preliminary, whatever." And I mean, it worked. So I mean, it worked for that movie. Everybody needs to calm down. I don't know. Everybody doesn't need to calm down. Nobody needs to listen to me whatsoever. I'm just not listening to anybody else.
They
can do whatever the hell they want. They can do whatever the hell they want.
No, but here's the thing: this particular trailer, because it revealed so much of the villain, and Pedro Pascal's villain. And Kristen Wiig's villain, actually, it seems to me the previous trailers were really harping on the, Steve Trevor is back, and Wonder Woman, you know, and by the way, Wonder Woman fights somebody. That's the way the previous trailers were. This particular trailer actually gave me a little more insight into the villain. Showed a lot. I mean, it showed a lot more than what we'd seen, obviously, and actually kind of made me excited for the film now versus just. Hey, we get to see Chris Pine back as Steve Trevor, and obviously their chemistry is great. The parachute pants line is great. I mean, things like that. That to me is icing on the cake to an actual story that I can kind of get into and hope that they don't. I have a lot of faith, and based on this trailer, so it's trailer truth for me, that they're going to overcome the mistake they made last movie, which was that the third act kind of fell apart and the CGI and the villain was kind of cheesy. I think they're going to overcome this. Her, lasso, hooking onto the bolt of lightning was pretty. It's pretty awesome. I mean, it was pretty awesome. So I'm gonna go. This is the one that got me the most excited, and the one I'm kind of in the middle of the road on is Snyder. I just don't think. I am more curious than interested. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me, but that's how I feel about all of them. I don't know why. It's really weird to turn something. And I'm not saying that you're doing this, but it's really weird how people just decide. You're doing this,
but you're doing this. Okay.
You're not. That's why I'm trying to preference it, but you're being a dick as usual.
I'm busting your chops.
It's really
you're sassy today. You look at you. You're saucy.
It's really because I'm sick of your. It's really weird that people just want to turn these things off. We haven't had these things in a while, and we found out and I mean maybe I'm overthinking it. Yeah. We found out the fragility of this industry.
Sure,
like profoundly. So these things are trying to come back with a vengeance, and then there's these detractors waiting at the wings to shit on something as soon as it comes to light. And I'm like, I don't understand. I don't understand. Everybody's fate is tied together to this. Now, I don't mean don't be honest, but just wait until you see it, Right. Obviously. And some of the critiques are critiques you could not possibly know
right.
until you've seen it.
Right.
So like the cheetah thing, right? That's fine. I don't like the way that looks. Now you got a grainy copy of it. There's a possibility it will look better, right? But okay, I don't like the way that looks. That's perfectly fine. Knee-jerk reaction to it,
yeah.
Right? This looks like the same movie as Justice League. That's bullshit. It's bull. I've seen both movies.
Yeah.
There are say 90% of that trailer are things we have not seen.
Sure.
So
that's what I'm saying. I'm intrigued. Like I'm interested. Like
right?
I'm intrigued. I'm curious. I want to almost do a side by side. I'm excited for the articles that will come out and do the work for me, where they will go side by side and say this is where this went, and this is where this went,
right.
and this is where this went.
Now the Batman thing, I understand how you feel about it. Like I'm not that excited about it because I've seen it before. But then again, because of the nature of the beast that we're dealing with, if it doesn't have the Batman visual language, everybody's going to crap on it because it doesn't look like Batman.
Right.
This looks like Iron Man instead of Batman. So it's in very dangerous territory.
Let me ask you.
I think they pulled it off to the point. If you really like the Nolan movies, you're going to feel like you're getting a continuation to it. If you're really concerned about Patterson, you're at least a little calmed because he's somewhat intimidating. He looks
sure.
like some. If you just want a superhero movie, here comes another superhero movie. And if you didn't like any of the Batman movies in the first place, you'll know to stay away from this one because it looks like another damn Batman movie. I mean, that's really all that we can expect from. Let me ask you,
rank the trailers. Then you're going Snyder first.
Rank them by how? By my own level of interest.
Your impression.
I think they're all equal. It's all brand new material. You
were more excited about Snyder.
You're asking about
getting you hyped. We do this every time. What in terms of getting you hyped?
I know
no trailer gets you hyped. But if you have to put yourself in that shoe, I'm giving you the criteria with which, because I will go Wonder Woman, then Snyder, then Batman, easily. In terms of the hype machine for me.
Dune. I'm more interested in seeing Dune than anything.
That does not answer the question.
I know. I'm doing that on purpose.
I'm going to rank it for you.
I don't know. I will say the Snyder Cut.
Snyder Cut, then
Wonder Woman,
then Batman last. Okay, so we'll do a virtual.
But I don't have. See, that's the thing. That's your ranking. They're not. They're all even to me. I am interested in all three of them. Okay. I'm intrigued in all three of them. I'm interested in seeing all three.
You're the most intrigued by the Snyder Cut.
No. I have the most to talk about with the Snyder Cut, but I'm not the most intrigued about it. So nice try. That was a very good try, but no. Nope.
Rank the trailers. Let us
I'm
know what
more
you think.
excited to be
Put the
see
comments in the
Dune.
Facebook feed. I didn't even hear you, so you're in good shape. When we come back, we go spinning the racks with guest Todd Black. With a cape. No, anything.
Yeah.
No, cape is always crazy. Cape is always crazy. Look, there are clowns walking the streets right now.
Right now.
There is no one dressed in a cape. Rogue Wave Podcast, the frequency for all things pop culture and the disruptors behind it. Streaming every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on Facebook.com/Rogue Wave Podcast and available immediately following the live stream wherever major podcasts can be found. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave Podcast, the frequency for all things pop culture and the disruptors behind it. We are big fanboys of comics and graphic novels, and every week we like to bring you the inside info and the source material that will make its way into a large and small screen. We call this segment Spinning the Racks, but today we'll be joined by a special guest, and this is our DC Fandome edition of Spinning the Racks.
Spin the rack, spin that rack.
Want to welcome our special guest, Todd Black. Currently has a Kickstarter going on right now, Tokyo Blade Detectives #3. I'm actually really digging the series, so looking forward to the third one. I already pledged. Tell folks before we get into Spin the Racks where they can find Tokyo Blade Detective.
Well, currently we have the first issue out on Comixology.
Mm-hmm.
The second one will be coming out soon. And you can actually get 1 and 2 on the Kickstarter via various rewards that we have, including getting all of them digitally for $5, getting them all physically for $20. So if you haven't heard the series before, you go to the Kickstarter. We do have ways for you to catch up.
That's awesome. And currently, what's the series about? Like, where are we up to for issue 3, or just in general?
Well, Tokyo Blade Detectives is about Japan set 200 years in the future. The country's basically been burned to the ground, rebuilt with technology, and the people are desperate to get back to an older style of living while still embracing their new technology. So they made a law that no one can break. You cannot have a gun. But this creates a power vacuum, and so they go and make laser swords. Yeah, I can't say the other word, so it's laser swords. And this creates a lot of new power factions, 5 factions in fact, who challenge the government openly in the capital of Tokyo, which has basically become a battleground. And so people are just trying to survive in it, including our main character Miko, who's a 16-year-old who's also a detective. And in the first arc of the series, she gets a case that's going to change everything. And issue 3 is where we get not just a resolution of the case, but the bombshell that will set in motion basically the rest of the series for the foreseeable future. And it's really exciting.
All right, very cool. And so go on Kickstarter, search Tokyo Blade Detective, and it should come up, correct?
Yep.
All right, awesome. All right, Todd, you're a comic book creator. You're a comic book fan. You're also a big DC guy, so that's kind of why this kind of worked out really well. We talked earlier all about the trailers. We put the trailers up against each other. We talked about DC Fandome. This is our DC Fandome edition. What was your take on DC Fandome overall? And then we'll get into the nitty gritty in a second.
They built this up so much, and then like what was like 3 days before they announced the split to 2 days thing.
Yeah,
and we were all worried, and we're like, are they gonna pull this off? And then after the day, I can't help but think, how could they fail this hard? No, I'm joking. They did great. It was a great experience. They really pulled it off. The 2-day split was actually the best idea ever, because given everything that was going on in the Hall of Heroes, how could they have fit more into a second day? And everything was just, it was visually perfect. I only had like an occasional streaming issue, and it resolved itself fine. There was no like major crashes that I heard about. Having all the hosts from around the world, as well as Aisha Tyler being the main host, was awesome. The panels were well constructed. That you could tell that they flowed really well. The trailers were great. We'll get to that. And the announcements, both the surprises and the ones we knew about, were great. not everything was a major hit. I thought the Suicide Squad revealed could have been a little bit better. No, the game, not the movie, obviously.
Right.
That one could have been a little bit better, and I'm not happy that it's 2022. I mean, what have you been doing all this time, Rocksteady? Come on. But still, overall, this was a massive success. I'm so happy for DC Comics and its fans. And I have heard so many people say, let's make this an annual event. I'm down for it. I mean, this...
Well, that becomes the interesting thing, and we talked about this earlier, too, is, I mean, it was so far superior to Comic-Con's attempt at doing a live stream event.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Now, mind you, I mean, they did have more time to prepare.
This is true.
That's a good thing, but, you know, but why did it take that long? You know, who knows, you know? And, and it definitely was... again, like far superior to what Comic-Con was able to do. Now, that being said, I want to go back in person. Like, I hope this doesn't like replace Comic-Cons. You know,
it's a complicated thing because as you noted, when San Diego tried to do their Comic-Con, it was a fail. I didn't even watch it because I didn't realize it was really going on. I was just waiting for the news to show up so I could write it for the various websites I work for. And like nothing happened, and I was like, "Well, isn't there supposed to be a Comic-Con?" And it's like, but with this one, like you said, they had months to prepare. I think Jim Lee said they were working like 2-3 months on this, so like starting in May
with the full staff at the time.
With the full staff at the time, and you know, trying to get all the stars
when they started.
When they started, and then. You know, they had to get all the people together. They had to make sure the trailers were good, that they had it released in the right way, and obviously this was a massive thing. Now, there is something special about the Comic-Con experience because with Comic-Con panels, you have most times the fans doing Q&A, and that's something that the fans really look forward to. But in terms of what do we want to call it, like an overall experience, you know, there are certain superior elements to the DC Fandome, including less, what do you want to call it, wildness, I suppose, a more controlled environment, and kind of more of like refined focus. Like in the panels, like they were doing questions. James Gunn was doing a a game because it's James Gunn.
And the featurette too. I mean, they had
featurettes and the flashbacks with Ezra Miller. Oh gosh, that kid. He's great. But yeah, he's great. I can't wait to see him.
Depends on who you ask.
Oh, stop it. And we'll be talking about the Snyder Cut, so you two watch your mouths later on, because I remember the last time we talked. But
who's the host here? What's going on here?
I know.
There are.
I'm confused.
This is Todd's takeover.
Yes, dang straight. But there are elements to the DC Fandome that are superior, absolutely. But there are elements to the Comic-Con which are both superior and more interactive. So I'm open to this being a annual event to an extent, but absolutely, this cannot replace the Comic-Con experience because it's just two very different things. This is the perfect thing for our lockdown world. Not to mention, DC has like how many infinite amounts of projects going on the next couple of years? They have the ability to show them all right now.
Yeah.
Whereas next year, maybe not. So
it'll be all Snyder Cut all day long.
Yeah. Snyder Cut.
That's it. That'll be all it is. All right, we went through the trailers. We did a little versus, and no, we don't count the Suicide Squad roll call as a trailer or the featurette because the featurette's not a trailer. Wonder Woman versus the Batman versus the Snyder Cut. Which one? Which trailer wins this battle for you?
Snyder Cut.
Why?
Snyder Cut. Okay. Three reasons.
I didn't mean to sound as incredulous there, but why?
Yeah, that was very incredulous. You're like, why, Todd? Why do you exist?
You can't even convince me, man.
Okay.
You can't even convince me.
Here's why. Number one, while I liked the Batman trailer, I felt that one was very much more of a, and it's going to sound wrong because of Snyder Cut, but that one felt more of a teaser trailer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was teasing the Riddler, who I think is going to be really great. It was teasing Pattinson's Batman, who I had some great scenes in the film. or in the trailer, like that epic punch scene, like that was just great camera work. That was great stuff right there. But I need to see more, especially from Robert, because everyone's like, "Oh, Robert's gonna be a great Batman." I'm like, let's calm down. Let's just see what they're gonna do with him first. He said like couple lines, the whole trailer.
Well, it's really funny too because it's always, how dare they cast Robert Pattinson? Then it's like, wow, he's gonna be so amazing.
Yeah, and they did it with They did that with Batfleck. They did that with Keaton.
Ledger. I mean, there was
Ledger's
an uproar when he was cast as the Joker, and he won an Oscar.
Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. Like
I was the only one. I was the only one who said Heath Ledger was probably going to be a great Joker.
Yeah.
And the only reason I said that is because it was so absurd a casting,
right?
That I knew he had to have blown them away in the audition or whatever he did.
Yeah, and Matt Reeves is no fool, so obviously Robert had to do the same thing. So
Joaquin Phoenix, when he was cast, I think, I don't know who would be outraged because they're like, well, he's a great actor, and sure, like why not? Like I think he's the only one where him and Jack Nicholson, where you're kind of like, all right, no, they're great actors, so they'll bring something to the table. Everyone else was like, you did what now?
It was at the time where It was at the time where no one was really sure what was going on with the DC Comics movie universe, and then it was like, wait a minute, you're going to do a Joker movie set in the 80s with Joaquin Phoenix? Isn't that guy like actually crazy? Like not like Jared Leto crazy, we're like crazy. So, but yeah, but I'm very intrigued with this, and Matt Reeves obviously is an amazing director, so I'm looking forward to that. With Wonder Woman,
is it obvious? I don't know.
Wait, what obvious?
You said Matt Reeves is obviously a great director.
His body of work proves it. Like, look at he made a Planet of the Apes trilogy, and it worked. So, I mean,
two of them did.
Did you not? What, first or third? Which one didn't you like?
Third.
I had a feeling. Just want to make sure. But
I'll be really quick. The only reason is because it's called War of the Planet of the Apes, and there was no war.
Yeah.
So,
it was a Cold War.
It was a Cold War.
Cold War.
Yeah, you know who was cold? I was cold, sitting in that theater. Like, why the heck am I watching?
Well, now you don't have to worry about that, huh? How about that?
No.
You can be comfortable in your own home.
Yeah.
Anyway, so with Wonder Woman 1984, the trailer was good. It felt like it lacked the impact of the original, because the original was like, what is the film going to look like? And then we saw, teases of Pedro Pascal and Kirsten Wiig, and then of course Wonder Woman riding the lightning. Like that's how you end the freaking trailer. This one was more about revealing Cheetah, which I dig. I'm glad they did that. They needed to do that. Now, how good she actually looks, I felt like the scene they showed was like a really dark, like lighting wise, so I couldn't really get a good view. Some people are saying they loved it. Some people are saying it's worse than Cats, which is quite the insult. Oof. But the memes are hilarious. Barbara, what did you do? I'm trying out for Cats. It's gonna be a great success. So the memes were great. But I feel it'll be okay. And again, Patty Jenkins said that she and her team worked hard and were making Cheetah look like she did to make it feel real. And so I have faith in Patty.
$1 billion movie.
Yeah, if this one doesn't make $1 billion, if we can only blame the lockdown.
Okay. I would say under normal circumstances, yes. I'm curious what the impact of COVID's going to have.
Yeah.
Well, the equivalent of a COVID billion. Okay.
Yeah, I like the caveat. I like the caveat.
I do too. Now with the Snyder
cut, $32.
With the Snyder cut,
$37.
Yeah.
38.
Let the man speak. You invited him.
Yeah. It's like, I am the guest. I feel special.
He actually invited himself. He's like, I'm going to come on your podcast. Is that cool? And I'm like, oh, okay.
No, okay, no. I asked if I could come. You said you were under different management, and then you got back to me like 4 days ago. No.
You gave him the different management space?
Hell yeah, we are.
He did.
Oh, my God.
He did.
We didn't know if we were going to split. We didn't know if Renee Geerlings and Tyler Main were going to do individual interviews, and if they were, it was going to be this week. But they came on as a happily married couple and left as a couple. So
there you go. Anyway, with the Snyder cut, the question was, what were they going to be able to show? Because what a lot of haters on the internet forget is that Zack Snyder only recently got the approval to do it. He had to then get his footage, edit it from home, and so on and so forth. So it was like, what were we going to see? And of course, like, how big was it going to be? And we found out it's 4 1-hour episodes, which I'm fine with. And so the thing plays, and what's the first thing we see? It's Darkseid. It's our version of Darkseid.
Yeah.
And it's like, awesome. and then they start rolling things, and you see like the small vignettes of like Superman and Wonder Woman and all of that, and it just builds. And of course, we have Hallelujah, which is a favorite song of the Snyder family, including his late daughter Autumn, and. The trailer it sends chills down my spine every single time, and it's crazy because it's just literally spliced together clips that some people have seen, some people haven't, and yet because of how it works with the Hallelujah song, I feel it just is a great indication of showing this is our Snyder cut, like Superman coming out in the black suit, which he had to fight for, but then was of course undone in the theatrical version.
Right.
To like Superman hugging both Lois and his mother, which was not in the theatrical cut, and the death of Silas Stone.
A lot of reshoots in this version of Snyder Cut too. So I know the original version, there was
reshot
that it was
to
very
high heaven.
unwatchable.
Yeah,
and it looks like a lot of reshoots here.
Well, you gotta say it right. This was the original footage. Then Whedon came in and reshot the heck out of it. Like, it was documented that Snyder wrote like 214 pages worth of script, and then they condensed it into 2 hours, and then Joss Whedon rewrote like 80 pages of script. Like that's why it was so like styles clash in many ways. Anyway, but the trailer was it was the love letter to fans, because the Snyder Cut fans have been so passionate. I've been one of them, not as vocal as some of the others, but I've been all behind the Snyder Cut. And for 3 years, essentially, we've been like, we need the Snyder Cut. Zack deserves this. And during his panel, what was her name? It was like Melody or Kim or something like that. I apologize, but one of the original Snyder Cut creators, she was like, I watched the movie and I could tell this wasn't your work. It was so obvious it wasn't your work, Zack. And I'm like, I'm literally crying. I'm like, this girl felt such a connection to Zack Snyder that she felt offended that this theatrical version was released. And you can see Zack tearing up too. And she's like, I was fighting for you, Zack. I wanted to let you have your vision. And so that release of the trailer was the saying like, hey, we did it. We got this. No matter what happens, no matter what it's really like, or the cliffhanger that no doubt is going to be there at the end. This is our movie. And then that ending line with Ben Affleck, I don't care how many demons he's fought and how many hells, he's never fought us, not us united. And that was like the call. It was like, it's us united Snyder Cut fans. This is us saying this is our movie and this was your trailer.
All right, look at you go. I like that.
And anybody who complains about the song has never seen, apparently, a Martin Scorsese trailer.
Yeah.
No,
because Scorsese only uses one song in almost all of his trailers, which is "Give Me Shelter." That's his favorite song.
Well, this was also a shot to anybody who hated the song in Watchmen, and it was actually kind of like taking a poke at them, which includes me. I just to me that it was such a bad decision in Watchmen to go with the song when it did. The music in Watchmen took that movie down for me.
And as I noted, it was a favorite song of the Snyder family. Like, this was an honest-to-goodness song that they loved. Not to mention, Hallelujah, the Snyder Cut is here. Like, that's the literal thing. It's like, Hallelujah.
You were a Snyder Cut shipper. Look at you. You were one of those. You were begging to see it.
I believe.
I'm just happy for content.
Because
there is so little of it.
It ain't gonna cost me anything. I got HBO Max, so I'm good with this.
I'll wait and do like the free subscription, and then just like watch it all at once. So it's like,
quick.
Go ahead.
Real quick. Which of the 3 movies, though, and we'll call it a movie because it will be eventually released into one big movie, even though it'll be broken up into 4 parts.
Yeah, Zack.
Well, there is going to be released as a full movie, but it'll be black and white, and then after all of them air, it's gonna be. It's going to be consolidated into one full movie after all 4 of them end.
So based on that, just so we can compare apples to apples.
Yeah.
Which trailer brings the truth as to which movie will be the superior movie? Not the superior trailer, just the superior movie out of all 3. Wonder Woman, the Batman, or the Snyder Cut?
In that case, I would have to go Wonder Woman. Because...
that's a smart move, I think.
Because again, with the Batman, this was our first look at the film, our literally first one. We already had a look at Wonder Woman 1984, and it was great. But this one was like, how grand is it going to be? And we saw
Mhm.
like the beginning of, Pascal's Maxwell Lord, revealing the truth to the world and giving them power. We see the transformation of Cheetah in the battle. That's no doubt going to be epic. We see her Kingdom Come Golden Eagle armor, in full effect. And of course, the interactions between her and Steve Trevor, which is great. Wait, parachute pants. Does everybody parachute now? That's going to be a key dynamic. And we saw more of that here. And there was little doubt that this is going to be a great movie. But the second trailer, especially with the reveal of Cheetah, I've been waiting for this movie for literal months because it was supposed to come out months ago.
Yeah, well, everyone. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. There's no question.
So this just really helped me say, like, yeah, I want this movie. It's supposed to come out on October 5th. So let's hope that it does. And then I'm going to watch all three. But for the one I'm most excited for, as ironic as it may sound, it's definitely Wonder Woman. More than likely just because it's the one that's closest to us right now.
All right.
So, yeah.
Todd, thank you so much for joining. Go check out his Kickstarter, Tokyo Blade Detectives #3. Just go search Tokyo Blade Detectives, and you can check it out. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Want to thank our guest, Todd Black, for dropping by. This was our DC Fandome edition. Thank God there was a DC Fandome. It gave us a whole chunk of material to talk about. Next week, we got more material. We got New Mutants hitting theaters, so like 3 people can go watch it. Bill and Ted 3 hitting VOD, and we're going to review both. And we're going to pit them against each other because Hassan loves it when we do that. Now we may not. Who knows? But we're definitely going to talk New Mutants.
I'm not. You're
Bill and Ted 3. I'll be doing it on vacation because I never take a vacation from this podcast. See you guys next week.
Rogue Wave.